let's get back to working on this project. Now we need to get this vehicle ready for the next Durham town trip, which is actually in 2.5 weeks, but by the time I upload this, I'll probably have already gotten back from that. But one thing that's really interesting is ever since I messed with the water pump and the thermostat in one of the last videos of this project, the engine's been running a lot cooler. The temperatures haven't been skyrocketing like they used to when I first got this thing running. So I don't know, maybe there was like an air bubble in there, or thermostat was stuck or something like that, but I don't know, it has been running a lot cooler. But I don't like the radiator setup on this. I don't like how it turned out, and I want to redo it. So I found this on eBay. This is for a Triumph Spitfire, and this was the only radiator that I could find that was short and a little bit long. I did find one for a Jeep, but that was a little bit too long. I think it was like 3 feet long. I don't think that would have fit in here, so hopefully this one will fit a lot better. I think something like that. I want to mount this as low as possible to hopefully make it to where it's at the same height as the airbox, so that we can still have a rear view mirror. But I also don't want to mount the bottom super close to the headers. Definitely don't want the headers heating up the radiator. So we're obviously going to have to heavily modify this thing to get it to work for this setup. So let's figure out how we're mounting it in the frame, and then we can modify it to work for this setup. So right about now, I was wishing that I mounted these headers a lot closer to this frame and a lot lower. That would kind of make mounting this radiator a lot easier. I was thinking about modifying the headers. I don't know, I could cut that weld right there and then just bend it down a little bit more. But do I want to do that? Not really. I don't know. Is that enough space? Probably not, so I'm probably going to raise the radiator up a little bit more. Alright, so I finished welding it, so now I have to pressure test it to make sure all my welds aren't going to leak. I set it to, I think, 40 PSI, and that should be plenty. I mean, this thing's never going to see, this thing shouldn't see those numbers, so I can already feel a leak. Where is it? Oh, it's this right here. Yep, that little pinhole. So a couple leaks, let me fix them and then I'll retest it. Alright, radiator is finished. Obviously, like I said, we had to modify this thing. I had to move the radiator cap to the top as well as reposition where the inlet and outlet is. So I did do a pressure test on this and there was about 5 leaks that I had to fix, but once I fixed those, nothing's leaking anymore. So that should be good. Now, before we hook this up, we first need to remove the old radiator. So let's drain the coolant from that. So let's remove all the old coolant lines in the chain tunnel. And then we can hook up the coolant lines to the new radiator. Ugh. That's it. Come on, I know there's more. There you go. Alright, so this is the only way to really drain this whole thing. Definitely gonna make a mess, but don't really have a better way to do it. Alright, so I wired up the radiator fans, I wired up the thermo switch. Now I want to test to make sure the thermo switch is working properly, so I could roll this thing outside and just fire it up and wait for it to get up to temperature, or I could just point a heat gun at this thing. I'm not sure what temperature it should be when it switches on, so I'll measure it with the temperature gauge. So oh, there it went. Nice. Nice, that works. 60, 80, 70 Celsius. I don't know, it's all over the place, but it's working. This thing's pretty hot, so. Nice. Thermo switch is working. So, let's put that back on. So right now we're just running the stock air filter inside this air box, which is obviously not enough for the really dusty conditions of off-roading, especially at Durham Town. So I bought 2 of these. These are Spectre air filters, so this should hopefully make it to where this thing has a lot better air filtration. So let's figure out how to attach these to the air box. So we got the new air filters installed. It was either this or one of those particle separators. They're like $500. You get them for razors, and I was thinking about getting that, but I didn't want to spend another $500 on this project. I forgot the price of these, but these were way cheaper than that. So hopefully this should make it to where this thing has really good air filtration, because we have these plus the stock air filter. I know these aren't great for off-road, but this should get rid of, you know, most of the dust and everything, and then the secondary air filter in here should get rid of the rest. So this should hopefully make it to where it's good enough for this vehicle. Now, I think this thing's finally ready to do our next test with this thing, as I know some of you guys are a little concerned that this chain drive setup isn't strong enough for this vehicle, isn't strong enough for these big 32-inch tires. So let's go find out. I'm going to take this thing outside in the backyard. I'm going to chain the back of it to a tree, and then I want to put it in 4-wheel drive and watch all the tires spin in the dirt and just test everything and make sure it's strong enough. Alright, all the cameras are rolling. Here we go. I hope I don't break anything serious. I did let this engine warm up, by the way. First gear, low range, let's 2-wheel drive into the first. That's 2-wheel drive. Got really loose. Oh wow. Oh wow, that got loose. Holy crap. Yeah, we knew this chain was going to stretch a lot. So maybe it's just, I wonder if that's what's skipping teeth. Some not great noises, I'll admit. One of these chains is skipping teeth. I don't know which one. Alright, I'm gonna unchain it and then see if it can. Ooh, that's tight. Alright, let me back up. in two-wheel drive, it can crawl out of that hole. Put it in two-wheel drive. Nice, my fan's kicked on. Yeah, that got super loose. So that one's loose. This one's super loose. I mean, it's brand new, super cheap Chinese, you know, motorcycle chain. So this stuff does stretch. So I guess all I need to do is, you know, tighten the stuff back up, and then hopefully it won't stretch anymore. So I would say that was a success. A lot of all the chains did loosen up. I mean, we knew that the chains were gonna stretch a lot. I need to go back and tighten everything again, and hopefully it'll fix the issue of the center chain skipping teeth. I think that's what that noise was. I think the center chain going up to this front spool was getting so loose, it was just skipping teeth on this little sprocket in the back. So, because that was not a good noise. But it looks fine. It doesn't look like anything's seriously damaged, and it still works. Still goes into two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, so nothing's seriously bent, which is nice. I kind of expected it to dig into the ground a lot more. I don't know. The dirt right up here is a lot harder. It's more clay, and it's a little bit softer in the back, but I kind of expected it to dig into the ground a lot better. You can definitely feel the weight of these much bigger tires. It takes a lot more energy of the engine to get these bigger tires spinning, which we knew that. I mean, they're bigger tires. What do you expect? But I was kind of hoping that this thing was going to kind of feel similar to the CBR 1000 project, but I don't think it is. I mean, it's a much bigger frame, bigger tires, four-wheel drive, bigger frame, so it is going to be heavier. But it did work. It was a successful test. Nothing seriously broke, which is good.